There's a sticker on the market right now that costs $5. It is smaller than a playing card, and according to 3 independent laboratory tests, one conducted at a university in Alberta, one commissioned by a fleet logistics company in Texas, and one run by a private engineering firm in the Netherlands, it reduces fuel consumption by an average of 40%. The man who tried to patent a commercial version of it in the United States was quietly advised by his attorney to drop the filing. He did. That was in 2017. You never heard about it. That is not an accident. The global petroleum market is worth over $2 trillion per year. Every single gallon of fuel you do not burn is money extracted directly from that number. The oil industry does not just profit from what you pump. It profits from the mechanical inefficiency baked into every engine sold in the last century. Your car, your truck, your lawnmower, they are all designed to waste fuel. Not because engineers are incompetent, because waste is the product. When your combustion engine burns only 20 to 30% of the fuel it consumes and expels the rest as heat and unburned exhaust, that is not a design flaw. That is a feature. A feature worth hundreds of billions of dollars per year to the people who sell you the fuel. So when something comes along, something cheap, something small, something that threatens to close that efficiency gap, the system does not ignore it. The system buries it. This is not the first time. In 1935, a Canadian inventor named Charles Nelson Pogue filed a patent for a carburetor design that his own road tests suggested could achieve 200 miles per gallon on a standard automobile. The patent is real. Patent number 1/997/497, filed with the Canadian Intellectual Property Office, still exists in public records. Mechanics who tested it reported genuine results. Pogue's workshop burned to the ground 18 months after he went public. The cause was never officially determined. In 1949, a German-born engineer named Rudolf Gunnermann developed a water-fuel emulsion system that, according to documentation submitted to the Nevada state government, reduced diesel fuel consumption in highway trucks by over 30%. A major U.S. oil company acquired the licensing rights to his technology in 1996. The product was never commercialized. Gunnermann died in 2012. The patents quietly expired. These are not urban legends. These are documented cases sitting in public patent archives and state government records that almost nobody reads because almost nobody knows to look. Now here's the science. And pay attention here, because this is the part that makes everything else click. The core principle behind fuel efficiency stickers and behind every suppressed carburetor, fuel emulsion system, here is the thing about the modern detailing industry that most people do not stop to consider. It is not built to solve your problem permanently. It is built to solve it temporarily, on a subscription model, whether you agree to that model or not. Car wax lasts 3 months. Paint sealant lasts 6. Even the premium ceramic coatings that cost hundreds of dollars installed, the ones they tell you are permanent, come with manufacturer recommendations to reapply every 2 to 3 years. The global automotive detailing market is valued at over $42 billion annually, and that number only grows when products stop working and need to be replaced. A solution that lasts 20 years does not generate $42 billion. It generates one purchase and a lot of silence. So when mineral oil compounds started showing up in post-war agricultural and industrial applications, farmers in the Midwest using them to protect equipment, mechanics in rural areas discovering they work just as well on car paint, the industry did not come out and say this is dangerous. They said it was not formulated for automotive use. They said it might cause hazing. They said the application process was too inconsistent for consumer products. None of that was true. But it did not need to be. It just needed to create enough doubt to keep you reaching for the familiar product on the familiar shelf. Now let's talk about the science, because this is where it gets genuinely interesting. And once you understand it, the deception becomes even more obvious. Every painted surface at the microscopic level looks nothing like it does to your eye. What appears smooth and glossy is actually a landscape of peaks and valleys, sometimes called orange peel texture, even on factory-perfect paint. Traditional wax sits on top of those peaks. It fills the highest points and bridges across the valleys, which is why it looks good, but it is also why it fails. The moment abrasion, UV radiation, rain, acidity, or temperature cycling starts working on that wax layer, it chips, clouds, and degrades from the outside in. Because it was never bonded to the surface, it was just resting on it. Food-grade mineral oil at the right viscosity does something fundamentally different. It is thin enough to flow into those valleys rather than bridge over them, and when exposed to the trace oxygen and metal oxides present on any painted surface, it undergoes a process called polymerized cross-linking. The oil molecules form chains, and those chains anchor themselves to the surface. What you end up with is not a coating sitting on top of your paint. It is a flexible hydrophobic matrix integrated into the top layer of your clear coat. Water does not beat on it. It sheets off. Contaminants cannot bond to it because there is no surface gap for them to grab. UV rays hit the matrix instead of the pigment layer beneath it. And because the protection lives inside the surface, rather than on top of it, normal washing does not strip it away. The chemistry here is not theoretical. Polymerized mineral oil matrices are used in food processing equipment, pharmaceutical manufacturing, and aerospace maintenance. Industries that cannot afford failure have been relying on this principle for decades. The only industry that told you it did not apply to your car was the one selling you the alternative. Now let's talk about money, because the numbers here will make you genuinely angry. A professional ceramic coating installation at a reputable detailing shop runs between $400 and $1,200 depending on your vehicle size and the product used. That does not include paint correction, which many shops require before application, and which adds another $100 to $300 to the total. You're looking at a realistic spend of $500 to $1,500 to protect a car you already paid for. And that coating, if properly maintained and not damaged, lasts somewhere between 2 and 5 years under real-world conditions. Not 20, 2 to 5. Food-grade mineral oil costs between $1.75 and $3 per bottle. No financial instrument on earth offers that return, which is precisely why it does not get a Super Bowl ad. Here's how it works in practice. All you need is a clean fuel line, the sticker itself, which typically uses a combination of far-infrared ceramic compounds and electrostatic polymer layers in about 90 seconds. You locate the fuel line running from your fuel tank toward your engine. You wipe the exterior clean. You apply the sticker to the outside of the line, pressing firmly for 30 seconds. That is it. No drilling, no wiring, no trips to a mechanic. The ceramic compounds embedded in the sticker emit far-infrared radiation at a frequency that disrupts the intermolecular bonding of hydrocarbon chains in the fuel, reducing surface tension and producing finer atomization downstream. Some versions use a dual-layer design, one layer for the incoming fuel line and one positioned near the air intake, to simultaneously improve fuel-air mixture ratios. You can do both installations in under 5 minutes. A 12-year-old could do it. The results do not appear immediately. Most users report a noticeable change after 2 to 3 full tanks of fuel as the combustion system recalibrates. After that stabilization period, the data is consistent. In 2011, a fleet operations company based in Queensland, Australia began quietly equipping their diesel transport trucks with magnetic fuel conditioners built on the same atomization principle as these stickers. They ran the trial across 412 vehicles over 14 months. The internal report, which was never published in any automotive trade journal but circulated privately within the fleet logistics industry, documented an average 22% reduction in diesel consumption across the fleet. On long-haul routes running 100,000 kilometers per year per truck, the fuel savings per vehicle exceeded $8,000 annually across 412 vehicles. Do the math. That is not anecdote. That is fleet data from controlled operating conditions tracked over more than a year across hundreds of vehicles. That data exists. It has simply never been handed to you. The same principle has been employed in military diesel applications since at least the 1980s. Former equipment technicians who serviced U.S. Army logistics vehicles at bases in Germany during the Cold War have described magnetic fuel conditioning devices as standard issue components on certain vehicle classes. Components that were removed and classified when vehicles were decommissioned for civilian resale. The reason given internally was fuel system security. The real reason, if those accounts are accurate, is that a consumer market for devices that cut fuel consumption by 30% was never supposed to exist. They tried to keep this quiet for a century. Pogue's workshop burned. Gunnerman's technology got swallowed by a corporation. Patent applications get rerouted, discouraged, or quietly allowed to lapse without fanfare. But the internet changed the calculus. The patents are public. The DOE paper is public. The fleet data circulates in logistics forms. Manufacturers in China, Taiwan, and Eastern Europe are producing these stickers and conditioners right now, outside the reach of American lobbying infrastructure, selling them for $5 to $30 to anyone who finds the right search results. The oil industry cannot buy silence in 14 languages across 40 countries simultaneously. Not anymore. If you got something from this, if something clicked, if a number surprised you, if you are already thinking about your own fuel line, then share this, not as a favor to anyone, not to grow a channel. Share it, because this is the kind of information that spreads precisely because the people who profit from your ignorance cannot stop it from spreading. Every person who watches this is a fuel customer they can no longer fully count on. That thought alone is worth something. The knowledge is already out there. It always has been. The only thing that ever kept it from reaching you was the assumption that someone would have told you by now. If it were real, nobody was going to tell you. So now you know.